viewers. Here is Professor Sumita Roy welcoming you to Sumita Roy's English classroom. I hope all of you who have subscribed are watching the other videos also, because many of you ask me in the comment box for a topic or a video which is already there on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done it already. But having subscribed, don't just see the video which is uploaded. See the past 7 months videos and you will find many of the topics which you're asking for. Don't forget to like and share the videos so that they can reach widely. If you are a student or a teacher, if you are employed or looking for a job, if you are young or old, there are videos for everybody on every possible topic of learning English and also English literature. All these videos benefit all of you, whatever your needs may be. Today we have a video on English Fluency Masterclass, and the title is Art of Storytelling. When you want to speak fluently, one of the best things for you to practice is storytelling. There are dozens of storytelling videos already uploaded here, so you can watch all of them. Today I'm just going to tell you how to tell a good story. When you see an advertisement, I'm sure all of you see it, you will find that they are telling you a story very effectively. So effectively that it has a powerful impact on your heart and mind. Your emotions, your sensibility gets involved. So that is excellent storytelling. I'll start by giving you a simple example. Here is a video recently released where an army person goes to the ATM to withdraw money, and every day the ATM guard sees that he withdraws only 100 rupees. He gets worried that why does he come every day and withdraw only 100 rupees? Why can't he withdraw the whole thing at once and not come back? Then finally, he builds up the courage and says, he salutes that soldier and says, "Can you tell me why you withdraw only 100 rupees? Then the answer which the soldier gives is so touching. It is so powerful. He says that when I withdraw the money, the message goes to the phone at home. I'm at the border. I'm in a, cantonment here fighting or waiting for my posting here. They don't know how I am. When the message goes that I have withdrawn 100 rupees, they know that I am safe and well." See how somebody who's advertising an ATM or ATM withdrawal is telling you a touching story. In this way, there are stories everywhere, all around us. Every day, every incident of our life is a story. When we meet somebody, when someone asks something and we reply, these are all the seeds of a story. Now you can use the seed of this story to speak well and to speak, to learn to become fluent without any help from anybody. Many of you say, "We have nobody to practice." Don't worry. You practice on your own. I have given you an entire video how to practice on your own alone. Watch that video. And now you start practicing storytelling first to yourself. Once you become confident, once you are clear how to tell a story, you can start using this technique to capture the attention of your audience. Audience might be one person, your friend or your neighbor or your colleague. But you have the art of telling a story which will interest them. They would like to listen to you speaking. You are practicing your English and you are also becoming better because you are telling a story in a very interesting way. So that is the art of storytelling. Now let me tell you a few important points about a story. What are the qualities of a good story? Let us see. What should you remember when you're telling a story? Anything which is a very long description, anything which goes on forever is not a good story. So you need to be concise. Concise. I have used this word concise in many of the spoken English videos. Concise is to the point, not going out of the point, briefly saying what you want to say, not elaborating so much, so many details that the listener gets bored. So the good story is one which is concise. That means every minute some new information is coming. You are not repeating the same thing again. The second point in the story is that there should be an element of surprise. Remember the story I told you just now, that the soldier says, I withdraw 100 rupees for this reason. There is surprise because the guard keeps wondering, why does he borrow 100 rupees? Go back to the stories I've told you. I've told you the story of Oliver Twist, a young orphan boy who has no parents, who's tortured by everybody, the people who have him in charge make him into a thief. But then at the end of the story, what happens? He gets all his wealth and becomes a rich person. All the wealth which he had lost, the people who had put him in an orphanage, who were trying to cheat him, all of them fail. He gets his property and wealth back. So you have this element of surprise is very important. Very long time, many months back, I gave you the story of Merchant of Venice of Shakespeare, the first storytelling video. You can go back to see Easy English Storytelling, where I told you that the person who had lent money wanted to cut a pound of flesh instead of getting the money in return. He says, no, give me your flesh. So Portia comes and saves by saying, okay, you have demanded flesh, you can take it, but if you take one drop of blood, then you will lose everything. All your wealth, your property. So the money lender gets scared. He says, give me the money, because you cannot cut flesh without spilling blood. These are all the suspense element or the surprise element which every good story should have. Then you have another important quality, and that is the strength of the characters. The people who are there in your story should be very well portrayed. They should behave as real human beings. If you're telling an imaginary story, it is possible that you have to make these people just like real human beings. You might have seen in movies it is written that any reference to a living person is a mere coincidence. This is not about a living person, it's an imaginary story. So we have that as a very important point. A story which has a value or a moral which touches you, which makes you feel very happy, or which makes you learn something, That is a very important part of the story. That is the fourth point which I gave you. That a story should have that quality which is moral. So if there is a character who's evil, that character needs to suffer. If there is a character who's good, that character needs to get something, some reward. That is how life works. When we work hard, when we do everything, we find that we are getting rewarded for what we have done. We might not like what we are getting, but very often that is the best thing for us. And later, many years later, we realize, oh, that's such a wonderful thing. I thought it wasn't good, but it is really good. In this way, in your story also, that ethical element, that element of values is very important. These are some of the points you have to remember when you are learning to tell a story. So, to master the art of storytelling, you must become perfect in all these four, which will increase your English fluency, which will make you speak better English more confidently, more clearly, and spontaneously. That is why I'm talking about storytelling today. Now we move on to what are the kind of stories we have. The earliest form of communication in human society is oral storytelling. The oral storytelling form existed for a very long time because there was no way to write it down. Human beings did not know how to write. There was this oral storytelling. They would tell it by word of mouth, one person, and then go on. All our folk tales are oral stories. They were written down much later, but initially they were stories which were oral. So oral storytelling is still there still. When you have small children at home, they immediately demand that you tell them a story. Then you have the concept of storytelling. I remember my grandfather used to tell us a story that there was an old woman who lived in the forest. There were many tigers in that forest, but she was not scared because she knew how to give treatment for anything. She was good at treating things. One day, a tiger had some eye infection. So the tiger came and started making a roaring sound next to the hut of this old lady. She got frightened, but she said, "This tiger is crying, let me go and see." She saw that it had an infection in the eye. She took a lot of red chili, which she was powdering at that time, and put it in the tiger's eye. It was burning. The tiger ran and cried, and the tears kept coming out. But after many days, when the tears dried up, the tiger realized that the infection was solved. And then the tiger was willing to do anything to help that old lady, protect her, look after her, and so on. So, such stories, children love hearing such stories. They want to hear it again and again. So, if you have children, that's one way where you can practice your fluency by telling them simple stories. We have so many fairy tales, Grimm's fairy tales, which are from the European world. We have Cinderella, we have Snow White, we have Sleeping Beauty. These are such simple stories, but they all have the moral, and the moral is something good. They are always very brief, and the characters are very interesting. They are also told in a way that till the end you have the surprise element. This practice will be a great thing for you in oral storytelling because that is what speaking is all about. So you can practice. But many of you might be very creative and you might want to write stories. I'm sure every one of us at some time in our life or the other have written stories. You might not have shown it to anybody. You might not have published it. When we were young, we used to write stories regularly for monthly magazines, and they would publish, and we would feel so excited at that point of time. So, written story is very common. Whenever we relax, we read a novel, that is a written story. The author is telling you a story. All movies, television serials, all these are stories. Then you have real life stories. The news is a storehouse of real life stories. What is happening in which part of the world? We can sit at home and know all that. These are stories which we have. You also have stories in the form of paintings, in the form of sculpture. If you see the Konark Sun Temple, or if you see any of the other temples, you will find that an entire story is carved on the walls. Because in those days, the common people might not have known how to read and write. So you see Ramayana carved on the wall of the temple. You see Mahabharata carved on the wall of the temple. So you have architecture, you have painting, you have art, which is also storytelling. If you take modern art also, it tells you a story. Only different people might think of a different story when they look at these pieces of modern art. Finally, you have the entire social media, the entire internet, the digital world, where you can tell your story all the time. You go to Facebook and you post some pictures and say, "Today I went and visited this place." You describe the place. What are you doing? You're telling a story. You say, "I met these people. We spoke like this. They belong to some other place. We all met." Story is ready. In this way, different types of storytelling, if you practice, what happens is that your fluency becomes better. You learn to think in English, you learn to speak in English, and the topic on which you are speaking is storytelling. The structure of your speaking is not only saying one or two sentences. For beginners, I have given many videos where there are single sentences and I say, "Please repeat the sentences after me." But I'm not talking only to beginners here. There are 70,000 subscribers now where you have people of different levels of learning, people with different background, different desires for learning English, different requirements of the language. So for everybody, there is something here. It is like a banquet. You know, a banquet is where you have many dishes for dinner. Everybody cannot eat everything. 100 dishes are there. You go and choose whichever of those 100 you like. And that is how this channel has grown. It is not on one topic or one kind of learner that I'm concentrating. Therefore, if you want to become fluent, there are many other videos, dozens of videos, and this is additionally another video where you have to practice. So now think of stories. Like I thought from my childhood, I gave you a story. I gave you a story of a recent advertisement by a bank for using ATM. I have given you stories from great story writers like Charles Dickens, Oliver Twist, and William Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. Many story videos are there on the channel. Watch them. Try to tell those stories and other stories. Once you do that, you will find that your fluency is becoming excellent. But for this, listening to me is not enough. Please listen. I feel happy if you listen, and I feel very happy if you say you are happy to listen, you wait for my videos, and so on. But what I really want, what will make me the happiest, is when you tell me that I have been practicing for a long time and this is the improvement which I have made. For every video of the 225 videos, if you tell me what that video has helped you to improve, that'll be a comment I'll be very happy to read. It is just by saying that, you liked my video is not enough to make me absolutely happy. Therefore, I request you to practice. All the best and thank you.